you. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you, Jenny.gr, and all the team that has made this day possible. And thank you, Mr. Provatas, for that beautiful introduction on various women in our history, because they are what came before us, and we are here today because of them, because of their thoughts, because of their actions, because of their deeds. So I like to think of history as something that came before us, but something that is a sort of wealth. And I'd like us to get into this mindset that we are receivers, that we are successors, and that we are inheritors of all those actions and struggles and achievements of those before us. And that's what connects us with our history, the fact that we are enjoying that which came before us. And if we are here today as free women, it's because someone worked for that. Today, I would like to talk about history and wealth, but in the sphere of your own personal life, which means the wealth, the history that came through your lineage, through your family, and what came before you, your ancestors. So I'd like us to think of you as an inheritor. So I work a lot with inheritors in different countries, and I work with their wealth, I work with their property, and I work with their history. And all of us have a history. It's our family's history. But also what I've noticed about these people is that many of them suffer from what we call wealth dyslexia. Now, can you imagine what wealth dyslexia is? Wealth dyslexia is the inability to value and experience the whole spectrum of your wealth. So, working with these people, I have understood that I would like to share something with you today. And when you leave, it is my vision for you that you understand yourself as grateful successors, as grateful inheritors. And then you can say, thank you, Ipatia, thank you so-and-so for making this possible, but thank you also for my own family and my own ancestors. And I want you to gain a deeper understanding of how value is transferred from one generation to the other. And finally, I'd like you to create a life with that. I'd like you to create a life and a vision of your life with the whole spectrum of your wealth. So when we talk about wealth, let's talk about tangibles, because when we say someone is wealthy, we mean that they have a lot of things, okay? So what are these things? Property, land, furniture, also other things like being part of a family business, titles, jewelry, rights, status. That's also part of those tangibles that we can say, we know it's there. If I want, I can sell it. I can use it. It's tangible, okay? So I'd like to ask the audience today, how many of you have already inherited something tangible from the previous list? Can you just lift your hand? Ooh, a lot of rich people in the room, okay? So I can see, right? So we've inherited this. It doesn't mean that our parents have died, and trust me, they're already giving you the family china and the family dining room, and they're giving you all sorts of things as you go along, okay? So you're inheriting this by the fact that you were there. And how many are you expecting to inherit? How many do you predict? How many of you predict that, yeah, I'm going to get that house on the island. Yes, I'm going to get that apartment in Pagrati. How many of you are planning to receive? Okay, there you go. So that's more or less all of you. But I want to tell you something about your tangible wealth. It's a gift. Your parents and your soy is giving it to you because you are there. You have the birthright. You're in the lineage. They're not giving it to the neighbor, and they're not giving it to the man on the street. They're giving it to you because you just simply are there. And that's a privilege that you have. And that's why you're a receiver. So there's also something else that's happening here. You're not just receiving tangible things. You are also receiving intangible things, things which are immaterial. And trust me, that receiving begins from the moment you are in the womb. Because intangible inheritance is something much more subtle, but very, very, very powerful. So let me just read the definition. Something from the past or from your family that influences the way you behave and the way you perceive the world. Okay? Now that's interesting because it's an invisible inheritance. It's an invisible thing that's coming to you, and it's affecting your life. So who are the main givers of this intangible inheritance? It's your parents. And what do we get from our parents? We get beliefs, dominant beliefs, behaviors, attitudes, values, okay? And your general mindset. But you also get from your parents trauma, insecurities, and fears. And these things don't just go away because they're given to you in the first 7 years of your life. And if then σας έχουν αποτελειώσει, in the next 7 years, you're going to get the rest of it. So by 14 years old, I'm just calculating here, you've got the whole thing. Yeah, so let me just show you one of my favorite paintings. It's made by Frida Kahlo. It's in the museum in New York. So Frida Kahlo is a beautiful example of someone who was aware of her cultural heritage, which is a plutos, which is a wealth, and she was also aware of her family wealth, her family history. So as you see in this picture, on the right, she comes from Germanic descent. The German part of her family came overseas from Germany to Mexico and settled there. And the other part of her family came from the mountains of Mexico. Two different types of lineages here. And she shows herself holding that red, shiny ribbon in her hand. So she's like the apostagma of these people. And she's holding the ribbon that ties that family together in her hand. And I find that very symbolic for what I'm trying to share with you. So, when do you think of your ancestors? Do you think of your ancestors, yayades, papudes, pro-yayades, pro-papudes? Do you think about these people? Usually we think of them as photographs, black and white photographs in some box, which we open and we look. And other times we think, oh, we paint them, we have them on the wall too, the old portraits. I go to many houses in Europe where they have walls of portraits of the ancestors going down up to the 17th century. And also those tohoryo, the yayados tohoryo. But I want to tell you something about your ancestors. Your ancestors are forces in your life, and they influence your life. And now with epigenetics, we know that not only the color of your hair and your eyes are transferred down, but memories, trauma, other things are being transferred down. So don't take your parents too seriously because they're just carrying it and they're giving it to you. Because we are inheritors of an emotional and psychological inheritance which we receive rather early in our life, and it affects so many things. Okay? We are carriers and it follows us. You can't just get away from it. Okay. So I like to think of this type of klironomia, this inheritance, as a bundle. It's like a bundle, okay? It's given to us through our parents, and it comes through to them to us. I'm curious about that bundle. What is in that bundle? I can tell you what's in that bundle. A lot of mixed stuff. A lot of mixed stuff. And we're carrying this, right? We're not only carrying it, but it sort of spreads through our life. It affects our relationships, it affects the way we make decisions. Everything is affected by that little bundle. So I open the bundle and look what's inside. What do we see? We see something very precious and something very burdensome. So that bundle has precious things and burdens. And all of you have both. So what do we do with it? I'll tell you what we do with it. We handle it. We say, thank you, parents, for bringing me this. I'm going to handle this now. I'm taking it on, and I'm going to handle it. I'm going to put it on. I'm going to sort it out. I'm going to make sure that the things in there are things that I want to carry. Okay? And that's where our personal development starts. Personal development does not start by avoiding things or trying to get rid of things. It's about integrating things. We're not trying to get rid of anything. We're trying to evolve things and make them ours. And here's another interesting thing. It doesn't really matter what's in that bundle. We don't care what's in that bundle, because the only thing that we care about is the value. And the value that we receive is not determined by what is in it, but what we do with it. I'm going to repeat that. The value of what we receive is not determined by what it is, but what we do with it. I know that sounds very stoic, but in the end, it's about how we're going to handle that. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story. In 2010, my parents died, and one of them also died suddenly. So my sister and I, my sister Alkistis, and I decided that we have to do something with our tangibles, because we inherited a house, we inherited things, and we spent a lot of years sorting that out. And one of the most important things in managing our inheritance was that we decided to put our relationship above everything. And that was the best decision we made, because no matter what happened and how our parents had arranged things, we decided to handle that in the best way possible. And we won with that, because I have seen in families in my work how families are totally destroyed by inheritance, how suddenly people change, how suddenly houses are locked up and they end up in court. So I'd like to advise you, when you're receiving things from your parents, become more aware of how you're handling that. So that's what I did. My mother had a collection. I opened the collection to the public. And Jesus, I had to also say something about this family. And then I looked at my family and I said, oh my God, what am I going to say about this crazy family? Okay. And trust me, it was a complex family. So I thought of that because by then I had 2 children and a third one was on the way. And I thought, this is a legacy bundle. I have to sort this story out. So I did. I started looking at my parents. I started trying to understand why, what did they do to me? Who are they? What were their ambitions? Why did they do things? Who am I? These kind of like simple questions, you know? And I realized something. I had to create a new narrative for them and for me. And this is why I like the art of kintsugi, which is the Japanese art of putting broken pottery together again, but with golden glue, with real gold. And these potteries are much more beautiful and much more expensive than the original. So in that bundle, it's just all these broken pieces together. It's a jigsaw, which you have to put together, but you need to put it in your own way. And the narrative is that flow, is that golden substance which you will apply to those broken pieces. And you're going to shape that bowl, and you're going to make it into something that you can drink from. So you're re-narrating your story. It doesn't matter who your parents were, what happened, what your history was like. It doesn't matter. The question is what you're going to do with it. Because there's one difference between you and your ancestors. You know what it is? You're breathing. They're dead. Okay? Someone said that heritage, what is heritage? Peer pressure from dead people. Tradition, peer pressure from dead people. Okay, well, all right. But there's a difference because we're breathing. And now, no matter how old your parents are, I hope they're still in your life, you're in charge, not them. So I want you to get a wider perspective of your life and a deeper one. I want you to embrace your past and create a new vision for your life, because that's what's going to get you out of that hole. And so, just to sort of bring things in together, let's go back to that idea that we are receivers and that we are receiving tangible things and intangible things, and we are managing. So we're standing right at the door and we're saying, okay, this in, this out. We are deciding what's going to come through because we owe it to the next generation. And a lot of people thought about this before us. So take a look at your tangible things, your houses, the things you're inheriting, and organize that. Sort it out. Declutter your closets. Make clarity with your siblings. If you have to take someone to court, do it. But do it with your spathi, as they say. Don't stay in this period of indecision where we have locked up houses, feuds, indecisions. Become more clear about what you own. Say no, say yes, but become the, as they say, the German, the Herrsch, it's like the master of it. Okay, so I just want you to become a decision maker, because this is your time now to make decisions about what you own or what is coming to you. And for your intangible inheritance, as we say, I want you to take charge of that legacy bundle. I want you to open that chest, I want you to look inside, and no, it doesn't have to take 10 years of therapy. We just have to look at it from a different position, a position of gratefulness, a position of understanding, a position of forgiveness, okay? Because when you go in there, you will see that handling your intangible inheritance is a journey to yourself. And this is the gifts. There are more gifts in there. There's the gift of self-value. You will start finding your self-value, self-acceptance, self-respect, creativity, healing across generations, self-leadership, and most of all, life vision. So what's our goal? What's our ithika? To become a bowl? No. We are becoming the curated self. Το επιμελημένον εαυτό. That's what we want to do. We want to make ourselves into that art form because we are all unique. And so at the end of this, I'm coming to a conclusion. I want you to become more grateful. I want you to see yourself as a successor of all that wealth that's coming to you, not only from your family, from your culture, from everywhere. You are very wealthy, more wealthy than you know. And I want you to understand how that value is being transferred so that you can give it further to your world and to your children, unburdened. And lastly, I'd like you to create that life that you always want with the whole spectrum of your wealth. I want you to get into this feeling that I am wealthy. Thank you, Mother, that you made my life hell, because I learned a lot through that. I'm wealthy. Thank you for not giving me everything I need. Thank you for showing me how it's not done. That could be one side of it. Or just thank you for what you gave me. All right, okay? And so, we do not end up being wealth dyslexic, where we do not understand what we have around us. So, I want you to see the value. I want you to access it. I want you to curate it and clear it and create with it. And I want you to give it further, as you are given value further. And create a legacy of abundance for yourself and for the future generations. Thank you very much.